The clown had been living behind the restaurant for months. During the day he'd busk for change. He did well and could have afforded a rooming house. Instead he came here. He didn't always look like a clown, of course. Most of the time he was just a homeless guy, rail thin with a strength that was almost shocking. He spent his days juggling, entertaining, watching. The banker worked long hours. On nights he worked the longest. He walked to his car with a curious spring in his step. The clown knew that spring. No ordinary man moved that sprightly at the end of a long day. Researching the man was a matter of visiting the library. The business section of the central branch was so very helpful. The first thing the clown noticed was the simple fact that the house was immaculate, always. No home that's lived in is always clean and orderly. The banker had a child, and homes with a child were often in a state of permanent chaos. After watching for a full 2 weeks, the clown knew the banker's wife did the work herself. No help came in to do the heavy cleaning or laundry. A man came and dealt with the garden once a week only. Late one night, the clown got the proof he needed. Hiding in the shrubbery near a window, the clown was able to look inside. He saw the banker's wife hovering in the center of the sitting room. She did not look satisfied with her domestic labor. She looked empty. Then the banker came home and she looked afraid. It was the bruises on the little girl that told the clown it was time to begin the ritual. That's not to say that the mother did not deserve rescue. It's simply that the protection of a child was an absolute good, and there was nothing darker or more dangerous than an absolute good. An absolute good could grow angels' wings on a demon. He bought new face paint and clothing, complete with white leather gloves. He kept these things in special protective bags in the battered pack that never left his side. Tools assembled, at an hour well past midnight, the clown bathed in a fountain in the middle of the city. Looking up at the sky, he saw the full round moon and was glad. One Sunday, 6 weeks after the clown first noticed the banker, a tent appeared in the yard. Caterers came with tables and chairs, then food arrived. It looked like a wedding party. Then the banker, his wife, and a little girl appeared. The girl wore a white frilly dress and veil, showing this was her first communion party. He slipped into a shed across the street from the house and changed into a black acrobat's leotard, supple leather shoes, and then applied his makeup. Looking at the white paint and black lines, the clown knew this was who he really was. There was something sad about this party. Most had some sort of child-centered amusement, inflatable toys to bounce on or slide down, pony rides. This had nothing. The clown left the shed and walked across the street to the large, increasingly crowded home. This affair would now have a clown. Several people noticed him approach as he walked toward the house. Holding onto his bag carefully, he did a cartwheel, then another. He circled the house and was greeted with smiles by everyone he passed, and even some quiet applause. Reaching the rear of the house, he entered the expansive back garden. The little girl's eyes grew 3 sizes. "Are you going to do tricks at my party?" The clown took her hand and bowed low over it. Holding the girl's hand, he led her like a queen to a central chair and had her sit. His audience in position he silently asked for and was given plenty of space. Now he set his pack in the center of this stage and began. Balls were produced and juggled. Then rings. Then he moved on to things that could be found in the garden. Chairs were balanced, one on top of the other, till he had a tower of 10. As he worked, he could see the banker standing at the back. He was furious, and at the same time helpless to say anything. The last part of his act involved juggling knives. He did not take these out of the pack, but borrowed them from the caterer's table. 4 knives went up into the air again and again, and after a few heart-stopping moments, they landed thunk, thunk, thunk into the side of beef on the carving board. No one noticed only 3 knives hit the meat. They only saw the clown gather up his pack, bow low, and the crowd applauded as the girl ran up to him. "You were the best present ever." He bowed low again, hand on his heart, and began walking back the way he came. 3 different men gave him cards as he went. Smiling and nodding, he took each card and slipped it into his pack. The banker met him at the side of the house, and they walked together. The banker waited until they were far enough away from the crowd not to be overheard. If you think I'm going to pay you, you're crazier than you look. Why do you beat your wife and child? The banker was caught. This thing he did, this fetish, this dark secret was his and his alone. What? They did not tell me. They did not have to. The giver of all life has sent you not just one angel, but two, and you have damaged both almost beyond repair, said the clown. Leave, said the banker. The clown glanced at the big home and found the little girl in the front window. She waved at him, smiling, and he nodded, a faint return to the farewell. I will for the sake of the child, but for the sake of the child you will see me again. It was later than the banker ever worked before. He was angry and more than a little drunk. He walked into the parking lot. It was empty, except for the clown. That's just fucking perfect. What the hell did you do with my car? Oh, it's not far. Your widow will need it for transportation or perhaps to sell and buy something more sensible. It is a bit showy. My what? The banker walked forward until he was quite close. When I was young, I read about knights of old that went on quests to protect the innocent, said the clown. The clown spun like a dancer, and silver flashed. The banker jerked back. A deep, bloody line opened in his chest. Problem being, my talents lead more toward the big top. I eventually realized that role was far more flexible than I thought. The pain of the deep cut began to filter through the man's fuzzy brain. You're a clown. Moving in a straight line, spinning as he did so, the clown cut the banker's arm with a knife. I have studied life and found it good. The clown moved again. Another line of blood appeared. You have oppressed life, and I declare you not worthy. The body in the parking lot was found just before dawn. A tent was set up to hide what was left of the man in the center of this space. The senior detective in charge of the case knew they would find very little. I don't understand how this could happen right out in the open. A lot of people live around here, said his younger partner. The senior detective looked around, pointing as he did so. None of the nearby county condo buildings have a direct view of this lot. Anyone from farther away wouldn't see the action clear enough until the victim hit the ground. He then looked down at the mess on the pavement. The knife our man used was probably very sharp, and the cuts happened quickly. I'd guess there wasn't much spray, if any. He wouldn't have any blood evidence on him. Our victim went into shock, fell, and the pressure of the ground held the cuts facing down open. Understanding showed in the younger man's eyes. You've seen this before. The senior man nodded slightly. Once personally, but this guy has a history. I ran into a death like this about a year ago, owner of a restaurant. The wife admitted that he beat her, but she and anyone else that might have wanted him dead had an ironclad alibi. The whole thing was so strange I looked him up in the serial killer database. I'll send you the file when we get back to the office. He made only one mistake ever, and that was so long ago it was probably his first kill. There was a small smear of white grease paint on the face of the victim. Before you ask, the victim wasn't a clown. I think the killer was. A crime scene technician stood up from examining the remains and handed the junior detective a wallet. Bank president? Why would a clown kill a banker? I don't know. Let's find out.